G'day folks, Piros here yet again, and today is going to be an absolute cracker. And this is a question I've been asked multiple times over and over and over again. And today I'm actually going to compare a super trench board, so that's a longer trench where you can leave the motor in place and you can change the battery, versus a board with just a shorter trench where you actually have to physically remove the unit to get it out. And then we're going to put it up against the board that's just got a flat bottom. And how much of a difference does it all make? Now, to even things up, because I'm using my actual own board, I haven't used my trusty old coat foil. I've got the Plasma 880 and I've got the AK, they're 82 centimetre full carbon mask with this new mini pod deal on it. So first one to bring that out. So all the rides you're going to see are first times with that foil on it. So that sort of evens it out. So it's very interesting, and it actually surprised myself. So look, again, I'm not monetarily attached to any of these boards. Sure, Dale's my mate and all that, but you know what? If there's a better board out there, I'm going to ride it. And if there's a better design, hey, we're going to change it to that, or I'm going to sort of ride that board. So anyway, folks, sit back, grab a drink, and let's go for a ride. Okay, first up, we got the beautiful Apple Tree Zapple. So this board's 5.0 by 18.5 by 38 litres, and it's really close to my DC 5.2, which is 18.5 by 35 litres, so it's super close. The one major difference though, and you'll actually see it in the video, is these boxes are a really long way back. So they're only 160 mil from the tail. I'll show you the Senova board later on, about 220 mil, and my board is like way forward, it's about 290 mil. So they're actually long tracks, but the other issue I had is because the trench is so short, you actually can't move your unit forward because it actually hits the trench. So I don't know, Ford driver sent me this board. They go, check it out, tell me what you want. This one's obviously been a demo for a while, being a proto as well. So I don't know if the longer boards, the boxes are in any different spot, but my personal opinion, these are way too far back. And you'll actually see it in the video, my feet placement when I'm surfing. I'll put it up now and have a look. I'm way back. Way back, and that's nothing to do with the foil, it's just the placement on the board. Anyway, other than that, beautiful light board. The shop appeal on these things are really nice. Retail, $27.50, so it tops the list price-wise with the three boards we're doing today. Now, how did it go? Like, this is the big thing. So, I was actually really hopeful, like, you know, with my super trench, and a lot of people are saying you got all that room in front of the battery. Even the Amos boards, they have a bit more room in front of the trench, obviously, so you can actually move it further forward, but the super trench has obviously got quite a big gap in front. And I was hoping I had my nose cone right up in here, and honestly, on the start, I didn't notice a thing. So really, that's the first, and this is really honest, trust me. I actually was expecting a performance increase, but having that extra distance in front of the trench and a little bit wider for undoing your clips, could not feel it. On the touchdowns, could not feel it. So quite amazing. The board's still, it's only a little bit thicker than the DC, but performance-wise, still went really well. So it was quite amazing. And again, I rode this was the first board I rode the AK on, the 880 Plasma, so it went quite well. The only thing different with this board here is the actual nose, and it's got quite a square flat rail. It runs all the way through, and it's quite narrow on the nose, and both the DC and the Senova have a wider, flatter nose and a more rolled over rail profile. And I know the Amos Cruiser is the same as that as well. I haven't got one here, but I've ridden Josh's a lot. So it's sort of quite on its own here. And I did find this tracked on the side when it actually came down. But you know, look, other than that, it surfed amazingly well. So the board felt great on the wave, and in flight it was really nice. It's rigid, it pumps well, it's light, it's a great construction. So, but you know, it was surprising that, yeah, I just couldn't notice the difference between the super trench and this for drag and getting up. Next up, my trusty DC, so 5.2, 18.5, 35 litres. Much longer trench, so you can actually swap out the batteries. So, I tell you what, I must surprise though, I surprised myself with the Zappel, and with these, if you see these split bolts by Full Drive, yeah, I was surprised how quickly I could change the battery in it. It's a genuine sub 2 minute battery change, so it's not mandatory to have this. I mean, you know, obviously I quite often do 6 batteries in a session, but I was really surprised with the Zappel, just the shorter trench. It's just, when you got a tool, it says bang, 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 lift it out, swap the battery, put it in, bang, bang, bang. So super quick. But again, in saying that, this also too with the, like Dale's got extra long boxes in, and you can see here the distance from the tail is really different from the Zappel, like a huge difference. We're talking 4 or 5 inches. So I much prefer the boxes in this position. And yeah, and a little bit extra room there just to open the latches up to get them open. It's great. Very fast battery change, so I can do it like 10-12 seconds. But the other thing on the DC, we've done a fair bit of work on this one, and my earlier boards were actually a lot like this Zappel, the narrower nose, probably a more straighter rail. But you can see here it's sort of a wider, flatter nose, and it's got a more pulled over rail profile. So start-wise, you know, you're thinking, well, you know, the Zappel's going to be quicker. Look, if anything, this started quicker, and it wasn't anything to do with the trench. I reckon it's just a better nose profile. So, you know, you could pretty well throw a blanket over both of them, starting, touchdowns, everything like that. But this board, I much prefer this nose area. So it changes, like, it's not all about the, it's not just because of the trench. It's the actual rail profile of the nose and the way the board rides. And like, you know, it's my old favourite. I love this thing, so it rides incredibly well. Okay, next up, we've got the biggest board in the range. It's a Senova 5.4 by 19.5, and it's just under 50 litres, so it's pretty chunky. Bit of junk on the trunk here. So it's, yeah, 49.8 litres. Now, I've done a fair bit of riding on these boards because Surf Effects sells a lot of these, and I actually, on this nose design, I really like it, and you'll actually see some similarities on the DC because we took some sort of design concept out of this too. They still have sort of fairly square rail, but they roll it over and bring it in, and a little bit of a double concave on it. So, and obviously there's no carbon in this board. I don't know if it's on the rails, but anyway, there's none on the deck. And the box is sort of in between the Zappel and the DC. They seem to work really well where they are, but they're a really nice long box, and obviously you've got a trench, so you've got no inhibiting there on it. So, starting wise, well, this is a surprising start. It starts just as well as both the trench boards, which is quite amazing. So you'd think, you know, one things that I spruiked early on in the days that the trench gives you a better start because there's less drag from Gen 2 and everything like that, but I tell you what, this thing starts amazingly well. So, you know, the Zappel's 2750, the DC's 2350, this thing is 1750, so best bang for your buck. And the other thing too, it's got no carbon, there's no signal issues at all. But again, with the DC, there's 0 signal issues, and again with the Zappel, 0 signal issues. I'm talking when you do double arm paddling, that's when they generally cut out, or you do duck dive. So I'll put some vision up here of all 3 boards doing the double arm paddles. Not that you needed to do it, because on this, on the Plasma 880, it just popped up. Super good foil for Full Drive, by the way. So this board was amazingly good, hey? And I was quite surprised at just how well it started. So the one big difference though between, you know, a trench board and a non-trench board is the thickness of the board here. So you can see there's quite a lot of thickness here. So when your foot is on top of the board, it's a long way, you know, you can have, you know, up to 3.5 inches between the top deck and the top of the foil plate. On the DC, I know for a fact when the boxes are put in, they actually come out through the deck, and then they are actually carbon straight on. The Zappel would be very close to that as well, if anything maybe just 1/4 inch. So the thing about a trench versus a non-trench is you get this amazingly good foil, foot to foil contact. But you know, it's more for performance guys, and you know, so you know, this like I said, this thing was great at starting. Now Senova do another one too, where it's sort of just a natural colour here. It's a narrow board all around, a bit more pulled in the nose, pulled more in the tail. This one works much better, and I've put a lot more people starting out on this board. And the good part about this is it's a stock board, off the shelf. You can buy it anywhere. You know, the Zappel's a bit hard to get. The DC's like Dale's, like, you know, he's out 8-10 weeks. Same as the Amos. They got massive lead times. So this Senova, you can pretty well buy anywhere. And then, like, you know, you go 5.3, 50 litres, oh, I don't want to do that. But you know what? These things have amazing resale value. And the 411 is also really, really, really good. But this thing here, I reckon 95 or probably up to 100 kilo guy could flat water start on this, because it just planes really, really, really well. I said at the beginning of the video there's going to be a bit of a kicker at the end, of results and all that stuff too. So look, I'm just going back over the trench again. So, you know, the super trench versus the normal trench versus the flat bottom board. I mean, like, for advanced, intermediate to advanced, you're sure you go either of the trench boards. Battery wise, I mean, performance wise, the super trench to the standard trench, honestly, I could not feel any different drag, performance, anything different at all. If anything, I had to give it to the DC, but again, that might have just been with the board shape. So there's people putting boxes in the top and making cowlings, everything like that. It honestly, you just can't feel it, and if there is, it's so negligible, it doesn't matter, okay? And then, you know, now you're all set up on your 4-drive and you're going well, and you go, well, you know, there's been a few advancements coming out, like 4-drive's going to keep bringing them out. They've always got this, they're working so hard. Paul is just a genius. He's working on everything. But at the moment, you've got a choice. You can upgrade, you can go to the new HP motor. So you've got that. That's also comes with a new prop can. So that's obviously the rotor and the stator. Or you've got the HP batteries. So, you know, it gives you a bit more power, a bit more runtime, and with the apps, you know, you can really dial up the power. And you can just get the HP motor on its own, or you can just get the battery on its own, or you can get them both together. And then you can also look at integrated mass, and then you've got these new mini pods coming out. So if you're going to ask me, like, in all this testing, like, I've tested so much stuff, it's insane. Show at the start of the video, I've got everything. I do all the major brands, I do everything. Some things are really good, some things are insanely good, and then some things don't work and they don't come through to fruition. So, but if you're going to change one thing, for the biggest difference I've done with all my testing over the last 2 years, it's the mini pod. So, and I'm talking more advantage over a trench. I'm talking more advantage over the HP battery and motor. The mini trench, so it's integrated, so yes, you're going to get an advantage from a standard integration. But this, I'm not just saying it's just AK. I've ridden 5 brands now on the mini pods, and I get the same result every time. And that's probably why the Senova has done so well, because the extra drive and push and less drag from these mini pods, it's insane. And that's what I thought it was, the trench doing it and the integrators, but it's actually from the mini pods. So hey, not available yet, sorry to tell you that. You can order the AKs now. I don't know when they're going to come out. Everybody else, all those other 5 brands, it's all going to be late in the year. Please don't ask me which brands. I'm not going to tell you. I can't. And then I can't give you more delivery. I know Hood River, the AWSI event, is on in September. And I think there'll be a few soft releases there. Which brands, I don't know. But trust me, this semi-pod thing is just mentally good. Really Really, really good. So anyway, I won't carry on much more about that. Oh yes, I will. You know, if you just watch some of the videos, I'll just chuck it in. You can actually see where the pod comes down low, and it just doesn't drag. So that's the outstanding feature on it. So when you come around doing your cutbacks, and you know, a tip breach and you come down, or you're running out against a chop, you can actually let the pod attach without it sort of pulling you down. Anyway folks, so here we are. Any questions, just fire away. Like, you know, unfortunately I didn't have an AMOS board here, but I think the AMOS, the results would be sort of fairly the same too. They're great boards. So any of those trench boards, I know there's a lot more out there, but it's only what comes across my doorstep. I test. I don't really ask to get this stuff, it just gets given me to do it. So any other major manufacturers out there, it's all part of the four drive game. If you want me to test something, please just send it to me. I'll give it back, I don't have to keep it. And we'll just go from there. So folks, hope you learned something from that today. Hey, so super trench, standard trench, flat bottom board. There's one of these will suit everyone, and it's just your budget. Again, $17.50, $23.50, $27.50 Australian dollars. Okay, so obviously the Americans will be freaking out, going, but that's Australian dollars. So, and the Senova's obviously the easiest to get. You know, it's in stock all over the world. Dale, yeah, sure, you can order one of Dale. He's so backed up, you're not going to get it for a while. And the Zappels, I'm not too sure where how they are, but who's distributing them, but they're available and they're in Australia. So anyway, folks, thanks for listening. Consider a trench, super trench, flat bottom board, whatever it is, just do your homework. Any questions, fire away. And you always enjoy four-wheel drive. You.